Hi, besties. You've found your community bestie to share thoughts and opinions, recap the shows we love.
Having too much fun.
Bravo should be fun. And have piping hot gossip sessions about the celebrities and Bravo lebs we love, hate, and love to hate. He went on a podcast claiming he had a threesome with two women from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Immediately, I was like, I wonder if it's Brandy and Carlton.
I'm Caitlin Marshall, your pop culture and Bravo bestie. Allegedly allegations. And if you enjoy fun conversation between friends, listening to your bestie rant about shows we can't get enough of, plus enjoy a little bit of, well, ridiculousness.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. There's a spider that is coming down. Hold on.
It's like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God. Has anybody seen my ring?
Oh my God.
I don't want to ruin the party or anything.
Have you seen my ring? Oh my God. Can you look on the floor for my ring? God, someone's gonna kill me.
Don't mess with me because I will come.
What? Oh.
Feel free to leave that in for whatever entertainment purposes.
You're in the right place. So thanks for joining me on Besties by Bravo. Hi, besties. Thank you for joining me today, Thursday, February 6th. We are covering the final three-part reunion of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. If you're watching on YouTube, my hair looks like gigantic, like a newscaster, because I thought, let me cut down on some getting ready time today. And I used hot rollers. Oh my God. This is after it fell. And I don't know if it's more news anchor or more, I don't know, 80s. It's intense. But if you are watching on YouTube, please hit that like button and subscribe. It means the world. If you are listening on audio, this is part one. So please go on over to your feed after you finish this episode on audio and listen to part two. I have so much to say. I don't even want to tell you how many pages of notes I have. Okay. Let's also say congratulations to Madison LaCroix. She just posted maybe an hour or so ago, as of the time I'm recording this, that she's pregnant. So good for her. Congratulations. Little housekeeping. I know I've been saying for weeks, I will be doing Beverly Hills and Southern Charm. I am going to do, when it comes to Beverly Hills, a very kind of quick overall catch up. But instead of recapping what you guys have already seen, heard, I'm actually going to more so recap the after shows, because I feel like not that many people recap those. So I thought maybe that would be a fun twist so that it is not 6 hours of episodes. Better for all of us, right? Okay. Oh my gosh. I can't even look at myself in the camera at the moment because my hair is enormous, at least for me. Let's get into it. We're going to start off with Brittany Bateman joining, and Brittany's all upset because what about me? She doesn't get to make a grand entrance. She wanted an announcement, besties, of course. You didn't get enough announcements this season, Brittany. Andy brings up that Brittany and Angie wore the same dress and says that Brittany pivoted really well and she let it go and essentially, quote unquote, let Angie wear her own dress. And we do see a photo of Brittany in it. She looks beautiful, but I just love the way Angie wore it. Might not have chosen the shoes that Angie chose, but I don't know. I'd have to see it all standing up again. I'm not the fashion authority or police. Anyway, Angie even says it was so nice of Brittany to make that little pivot and not really make a big thing about it, especially after Angie made all those comments about her hair. Please don't make comments about my hair right now. I'm literally, as soon as I get off, if you're looking for jumbo hair curlers so that it'll be a little straighter and less gigantic. Anywho, I guess Brittany went into Angie's salon and Angie says that her hair's never looked better. Of course. As of taping the reunion, Brittany and Jared had broken up and been broken up since June. And since then, she says they've had a couple of false starts. Girl, wow. But we get an editor's note, and I love the shade. Love it. On the Chiron at the bottom, it says editor's note. Since the taping, they made it Instagram official. ... Again. If they did this for Brittany, every time she announced a breakup or them getting back together, we would have a Chiron at the bottom of every single episode she was in. Let's be real here. Apparently, Jared went with Brittany to the premiere of the season, and they went as friends, according to Brittany. But Mary says they were making out there. Ew, God, I don't know. To each their own, my friends, but I just don't see the appeal in Jared Osmond. Do you? I mean, he's not completely tragic looking, but my God, there are so many more attractive men who will treat you so much better. I think maybe it's gotten harder out there. It's always been hard. What am I saying? Anyway, Jared was supposed to be joining them for the reunion. And Andy asks Brittany why he canceled last minute. All Brittany can say is that it's the same old thing. Every single time we get back together, he makes these promises that he won't text single girls while we're together. Y'all, what can we keep saying about Brittany in this? It's wild to me. She has no self-respect, sadly. Apparently, the last time they tried to make it work, she found him deleting text messages from other single girls. And Heather starts trying to joke about it, asking, was it the deleted or the deleted? Brittany's like, I don't know. Bronwyn is asked about whether she still thinks Brittany is into Jared for the Osmond name or if she's actually into Jared. And Bronwyn says it wasn't cool of her to say that to Brittany, but that how he treated her and everything she knows about Jared Osmond, she says he's categorically the worst. Ooh, I don't disagree, Bronwyn. And she brings up that he said awful things about Brittany on Twitter, which we do get a screenshot of him saying she is, quote, she is so damaged from her past relationships that she makes me out to be the bad guy. I need to date a stable woman. Yes, and Brittany also needs to date a stable man. Telling y'all, attachment theory, Jared is absolutely an avoidant and Brittany is an anxious. If you ever needed a prime example, that is like the most extreme example of the attachment types I'm just that I've seen on this network. And we've seen a lot of examples of that. Okay. Anywho, listen, I would have gone ahead and gone through that whole message that was on the screen like I usually do. But I don't want to give Jared Osmond more airtime. He gets enough as it is because of Brittany. Bronwyn says that Jared called her a treacherous little bitch on Twitter, but what he actually said, because we do get a screenshot. There is something really off about you. I think I figured you out. Laughing emoji and winky tongue sticking out face emoji, which he seems to really like that emoji when he's flirting, if we do recall what he had or messaged in Angie's Brow Girl's DMs. But I digress. He follows those two emojis up with, you are a tragic little bitch. Y'all, I'm not trying to make accusations or say anything specific other than the tragic little bitch remark. That has those red flags aren't just red, they are neon red. Okay. That is bad. That is wild how bad that is. It says a lot about a man, and I'm sorry, but this is specifically going to be to straight men. It says a lot about a man by how he responds to a woman he's angry at who he is not in a romantic relationship with. If he talks about her the way Jared spoke about Bronwyn, and eventually we find out to Bronwyn, there is Nothing short of emotional abuse written all over that. And I'm sorry, I'm not making accusations. This is just my own experience. Yeah. Now, again, it may sound dramatic, but I would actually be frightened of that man. Heather says to Bronwyn, "Didn't you say he had a micro penis?" As if that would justify him calling her a tragic little bitch. I mean, he could have fired back, but let's be real, this man does not own a thesaurus or a word of the day calendar. Schwartz, yeah, Mr. Tom Schwartz, why don't you go get, yeah, come here, Schwartz. Go give Jared Osmond your word of the day calendar. Okay, buddy? Okay. Doing the Lord's work over here. Our flashback of the after show has Bronwyn saying that she missed the whole Justin Rose and John Barlow exchange because she was in the middle of being told across the room that Jared has a small penis. Listen, that is the one thing that will get a man, especially if they have a small penis. It was actually Whitney who said the word micro penis on the after show. So let me just make that clear. But Whitney's dumbass. I'm sorry, before we get the flashback, she goes,
Isn't that against HIPAA?
I want to fully believe that she's joking, but I just don't think she is. Because it's a spa owner, manager, person who's telling Bronwyn this at the party. Okay. But it is unseen footage after Bronwyn relays that she missed the whole fight of John and Justin. And it just sounds like this guy, like I said, maybe a salon owner and spa. And he's telling Bronwyn that Jared came into quote unquote the spa, and this person was told that he had the smallest thing. Then Bronwyn asks Brittany if she wants her to read what Jared messaged her and says, "This is the way the man you're in love with talks to women." Listen, Mary's saying, read the whole thing. And Andy starts cracking up at Mary, those messy little queens. But, Britt tells her, "No, you don't need to read it because Jared told me about it." Like I said, Andy wants to know what Jared said. So Bronwyn whips out her phone and Bronwyn reads it. Oh my God. Honestly, Bronwyn, what the fucking hell is your fucking problem? And that's when Mary's face goes, oh, damn. Because, sir, who are you? You are the nephew of Donnie and Marie. You are not Donnie and Marie. And even if you were, you cannot speak to anyone that way. Go F yourself with your own little micro panini. We'll just do that. Okay. Anywho, are you effing kidding me? Coming out on national television making fun of my anatomy? And I'm telling you, this little section here, okay? All of it, but this little section, you little bitch. I'm sorry, y'all. I've seen enough episodes of Law & Order SVU and Law & Order that the type of man that calls a woman a little bitch, y'all, he scares me. I'm telling you, I don't want to call it now, but I'm calling it. Something's going to come out about him. Something is. That's just my belief. I don't know anything. I'm not saying anything has happened or will for sure happen. I mean, Jesus Christ, just don't sue me allegedly, or that's my feeling opinion. Happy? Always scared of someone trying to sue me. Stupid. Anyway, do you even understand the backlash I am getting on social media? I guarantee I am twice the size of any man you have ever been with. I am disgusted by what a low vibrational, okay, sir, human you are to disparage me like that, all for the sake of trying to earn your spot on a show. I could certainly pick apart all of your anatomy, but I'll remain classy in the public eye and keep it between you and me. Do y'all see that little portion there? I could do it publicly, but I'll keep it between you and me. What does he do and say behind closed doors? Bad man. I don't feel good about him. Brittany says she didn't know that last part and that she's embarrassed. Bullshit. Mama, bullshit. Bullshit, mama. This bouncy girly pop fully knew. Okay. Andy asks Mary what Jared had DM'd her. And I'm sorry, he's just so creepy to me. Apparently, he DM'd Mary a bunch of nothing, saying that Mary is a child of God and a beautiful lady. Dude, go away. Mary says it was just little small talk, but I don't know. I wouldn't view that as small talk, but Mary is probably used to those type of DMs, I guess. They think that if they get in good with her, they're getting in good with God. But the only way to get in good with God, if that's your religion, is to get in good with God, just so you know. Heather asks Mary if she actually likes Jared, and Mary's like, yeah. And blah, blah, blah. And Heather's like, yeah, Jared is likable. And my God, Brittany, see a therapist for the love of all that is wrong and right in this God-forsaken world. Brittany goes, he is likable. And I'm telling you, when the love bombing happens, it's good. Brittany, love bombing is bad. Bombs are usually bad. We are not in the era where calling someone to bomb is good. Using the word bomb is bad now. Okay? But Brittany didn't get that memo that bombing is bad, apparently. And she goes on by saying, I'm telling you, Andy, when the love bombing happens, it's so strong. What? After what we just heard him send to Bronwyn? And Brittany, I swear to God, I don't even know. You're saying love bombing like it's the most romantic shit on the planet. Go read some Jane Austen. Do you read it all? I'm just curious. Anything aside from like music sheets, scripts, and any post that is about you? I mean, for fuck's sake, someone put this girl on a 5150. You know what, besties? I think we need to start a rehab for people who are digmatized. I mean, it's open to men and women, but not to straight men. Sorry. Y'all have enough things that you get to have as it is. Let us have this thing. Brittany is asked by a viewer, do you think Jared was using you to get famous by being on the show? She says no, and I have to give him his credit. He did the show to support me. Y'all, I would never have known the name Jared Osmond if he hadn't come on the show. Nope. I honestly, yes, I would have known the names Donnie and Marie, but not Jared. He isn't even their son. I mean, they're not a couple. He isn't even a son. As much as people have been confused and speculated, he is not even an offspring of theirs. He is a nephew. Okay. You know what I would love is for Jared Osmond to go walk around LA, even after being on the show, genuinely, and ask random people of all ages if they know who he is. And I will make it fair by saying all ages. And do you see what I did there? I knew no one would know who he was or recognize him because he would have to ask. Bloop. Okay. Andy reminds Brittany that Jared said he was the reason she was able to get on the show. And we see that screenshot of him saying she needed him to get on the show for relevance. Sir, no one knows who you are. Brittany was able to stand on her own without you. And I'm sorry, but as a matter of fact, I think she might have been more likable if you had not been a factor in that math equation, sir. But apparently they had another breakup because of him saying that. I mean, just add it to the list. It's fine. But I do have to reiterate that I think Brittany would have been even more likable if Jared Osmond were not present. Okay. I mean, listen, a lot of people love Brittany and think that her version of Delulu is adorable. So at the same time, what do I know? I mean, it's not, I don't not like her, but it's exhausting. I mean, at the same time, Brittany, get a 5150 on yourself. Of course, is there a way to make that voluntary? I don't know. She says that then Jared will love bomb her after stuff like that is said, and it's hard to resist. Gag. But Brittany also says that skipped ahead. She says that Jared will love bomb her and say that whatever he said was out of rage. Methinks that Jared Osmond might have a rage problem. Brittany asks if they saw Jared's whole rant about her. And Bronwyn says she did, and that Brittany shouldn't take the love bombing because she knows it's coming. Thank you. Bronwyn is trying to give you some very rudimentary little bites of wisdom, just little nibbles of it. But Brittany is the upside down smiley face emoji that we all know is the little emoji that we use for, okay, I'm crazy. She's literally that. Because as Bronwyn is saying all of that to her, Brittany's face says, yeah. And Brittany does say, yeah, I know. But in her head, clearly, she's saying, I'm already trying to think of the text I want to write to Jared as soon as I leave here just to have a reason to contact him to tell him about how awful my whole time at the reunion was and how mean they all were and how awful that treacherous, tragic little bitch was to me. She's dying to have any excuse to contact him. Brittany then ironically says, and that's why that chapter is 1000% closed. Does Brittany have the memory of a goldfish, or is her brain nestled inside the coils of like a yo-yo? Boing, boing. I don't know anymore. I don't. Andy asks Brittany if she's in love with Jared. She says she thinks she was, but that she's not anymore. And y'all, I am predicting breakup number 513 after Jared sees this reunion. Just wait. Just wait. There are going to be some TikToks coming with Brittany mouthing to sounds about how she is broken up with Jared. Just you wait. Brittany is telling Andy about how she and Jared bonded so immediately and that honestly, I fell in love with him on the first date. Brittany is absolutely that girl, isn't she? I'm so sorry, Brittany. We got to work on this. We need you to do some reading with some strong female character leads, and then let's just get you started with that, and then let's move on to some actual therapy. Okay. Anywho, Brittany says that she has met Donnie, but not Marie. Donnie came to watch her sing at church. And Whitney chimes in that apparently her dad was part of the Osmonds glam squad and did their hair. And all of the attention diverts to Whitney. And Brittany is not about to let it not be about me. What about me? She redirects attention to herself just to say, I think we were never on the same page in his, like, pun intended, playbook. Yeah, girl, we know. She just wanted him to stop texting all the single and ready to mingle girlies. Wow. Such a huge ask there, Brittany. So we get a viewer question of, did it change the group's opinion of Brittany knowing that she wasn't speaking to her daughters? And Lisa's just like, that's a very sensitive topic. Brittany apparently has reconnected with both of her kids since filming, and Olivia is there with her in New York City for the reunion. So that's good. And we see a little selfie of them. Angie says it was hard for her to hear when Brittany said she put men before her daughters because your kids should come first. And this may sound hypocritical to me, or like of me, or as though it's a double standard, but I'm sorry, if your relationship with the other biological parent does not work out, then your kid comes before any other relationship. Okay? Once you have that established that person as another parental unit in their life, this is just my opinion. I am clearly not a therapist because I'm in therapy. Once you've established them as another parental unit and they are truly in their lives, then it's a different type of thing about really modeling good relationships. Okay. But no, you don't put a boyfriend or a girlfriend before your own children when it's not their parent, period. And here Heather is already verbally writing her third book as we speak, saying, this is why I've always been like afraid to fall in love, because it can put you in a fog. Bronwyn says she judged Brittany harshly, and that as a single mom, there were a lot of opportunities she didn't take because Gwen only had her and she chose not to date certain people and do certain things. And let me say this, I am in zero and no way defending Brittany on this situation. I do have to say Bronwyn and Brittany's situations are very different, considering Gwen's dad passed away and Bronwyn was truly the only person Gwen actually had. But again, that's no excuse for Brittany to put a man before her own girls. It's just ridiculous. Brittany says to Bronwyn, so instead of supporting me, you were the only one that knew out of everyone here. I guess that she was At first, I took it as the only one that knew they weren't in touch, but maybe she meant also the only one that knew what that was like out of everyone here. But Heather does know whether she's dating or not, what it's like to be a single mother. Anyhow, and because apparently Bronwyn had some personal connection somehow to Brittany's girls, that's pretty wild. Brittany asks, "So why did you meddle in that?" Brittany continues by blaming Bronwyn for her daughter's blocking and ghosting her she says, for 6 months. Okay. Bronwyn tells Brittany she knows that Brittany wants to blame her for that and that she's never spoken directly to either of Brittany's daughters. And Brittany goes, "Oh, I know that you used little flying monkeys to do that for you." Brittany claims Bronwyn had her friends reach out to Brittany's daughters, which would be really pretty terrible if that's true. But Bronwyn says they have mutual friends who told her that she should be careful once they knew Brittany was going to be on the show because Brittany and her kids have a quote unquote tricky relationship. And most importantly, it was allegedly said that Brittany's girls do not want to be talked about on the show. Brittany is saying it's way more complicated than that. And she's trying to make it seem as though they had a fine relationship before Bronwyn allegedly butted in, we'll say. As Heather is trying to say, Bronwyn was horrible to Brittany. And yes, Bronwyn was an absolute asshole to Brittany at that bat mitzvah, just for the fact that Brittany was not on the popular team, and she was also annoying Bronwyn a bit. So Bronwyn was pretty harsh in that instantaneous turning point she took on Brittany. But Brittany is dying to play Elphaba on Broadway. I mean, guys, have you not seen her very famous Instagram and TikTok content where she painted her face green to go watch Wicked and is on an elevator singing Defying Gravity? Listen, sometimes cringe works, and it seems like it is working for her. But anyway, Brittany says, "You know what? She sent her little flying monkeys like the Wicked Witch," about Bronwyn. Y'all, how many times do you think Brittany said that to someone before she got there? How many times did she say that in Glam? How many times did the Uber driver have to hear it? How many times did Olivia have to hear it? The person who was having to get her a new dress. How many times? I mean, who had to sit next to her on the flight there? I wonder if they gave her any decent feedback on that line. Bronwyn tells Brittany she's not responsible for what someone else said to her daughters. And God, I hate to defend Brittany on this, but if Bronwyn heard anything like that happened with Gwen, you best believe she would have twisted all the words and lost her mother effing mind. And she would have had every right to do that. But I'm just saying, Bronwyn, you're the one who keeps saying, "Oh, Lisa's all good with her, your marriage being talked about," and doesn't take it as seriously when it's someone else's thing, but when it's hers, it's a big deal. So consider that here too, because you also had every right to be angry with Lisa about the whole grandparents thing. But digressing, Andy is trying to get truly to the bottom of what the effing hell Bronwyn and Brittany are actually talking about, and asks Bronwyn what was said to make, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Got confused there for a second. Excuse me. Those of you watching on YouTube. I was on a roll there. I felt like I had a stride, but now I'm confused. Okay, we're here. See, this is the thing. Even though this is not live, you're still getting all of it. Anyway, Andy is trying to get to the bottom of what the effing hell Brittany and Bronwyn are talking about. And he asks what Bronwyn could have said to make Brittany's daughters not want to speak to her. Brittany says, as innocuous as her saying, "Oh, Brittany's never done Broadway," to Brittany's making everyone call her Britani. What? So, what? Britani. Oh my God. You guys, that's Hi guys, I'm Britani. Hey, Britani has an announcement. Ding, ding, ding. Brittany says that Bronwyn's friends were caretakers to her daughters. What? Is that what she was saying? Y'all, I don't know. Sometimes I get very confused. I'm an ADHD tornado at my best. But Brittany alleges that these friends of Bronwyn's sat her girls down and told them, your mom is telling the ladies that you're jealous of her. And that's why you're not talking to her, that you broke up her happy marriage to husband number 2, and it's all your fault. Brittany confirms to Andy that she believes she was estranged from her daughters for 6 months because of Bronwyn. And Andy points out that she was already estranged from her daughters when they were vetting her for casting, during casting. But Brittany is going to say 100 times regarding this relationship with her daughters that it was touch and go regarding this estrangement. Andy is asking the only question to ask at this point, which is, how is this Bronwyn's fault if you were already estranged from your girls? Brittany says it's because Bronwyn passed information to her daughters through these friends of hers. Okay. Well, if Bronwyn is friends with them and they were maybe gossiping and chatting, that's on the people looking after your girls who should not be the ones looking after your girls. They shouldn't even be in that position to begin with, Brittany. You should be the one looking after your children and being able to tell them directly what is going on. Instead, this is what happens when you choose a man who is not even your husband or their father over them. Do you know how much damage that will have done to these girls? Do you understand? I don't know, Brittany, if you're getting from any other point of view other than your own, because you need to be looking at it from your little girls, teenagers, it doesn't matter. Those are your children. And you cannot, under any blue sky, tell me that that is not going to deeply traumatize them and their own romantic relationships for the rest of their lives. I mean, I'm sorry to be harsh, but I'm not.
Sorry, not sorry.
I hate that. Anyway, Andy says to Brittany that your whole meeting with casting was about how you weren't speaking to your daughters. And wow, Brittany, this is not a good look. I'm not going to lie to you. We see her casting tape where she says, I have 2 kids, 2 beautiful daughters. Neither one of them are speaking to me right now. She laughs and then says, there's a lot of drama. And I have to be really, y'all, it doesn't even read as a nervous laugh to me at all, if I'm frank. I do understand that Brittany has an acting background and she's maybe used to just being a little nervous and knows how to direct her laugh in a less nervous sounding way. And I don't know how to fully explain what I mean by that, but it's one of those, if you know, you know. I can't help but think at the end of the day, do y'all want to talk about someone leveraging their children? Brittany leveraged her estrangement from her 2 girls who are under 18 to get cast on the show. That is, well, despicable to me. So I'd love to give Brittany the opportunity to give more of an explanation. Not on my show. That's not how I mean. I would never. No, thank you. But I would like to hear her give us an explanation for that. What do you say? Andy says it sounds like she's hanging on to the fact that her girls weren't talking to her and she's putting it on Bronwyn when they already weren't speaking to her. And what do you know? Brittany changes the story. She then says, I'm hanging those 3 months on her. Yes, except Bronwyn said 6 originally. I'm sorry, except Brittany said 6 originally. Scratch that. Brittany said that. Brittany has an interesting relationship with facts. Let's say that. Whitney is saying to Britt, look, I don't think that's fair. And Brittany says it's Bronwyn's fault and that Bronwyn knows it and that she has a lot she needs to pay for. Here's the thing, too. I think Brittany does not know how to choose words wisely in the heat of the moment. And it's just awkward because she really is, I think, a bit of an awkward person that she didn't even mean to say, I'll give her this, that I don't even think she meant to say that she has a lot she needs to pay for the way it came out. Unless she's been taking too many notes from Jared Osmond, then maybe she did mean it. Okay, we're back from the commercial break and we're going into all the crazy behavior, like bringing wine to Britani and her Mormon church night, including slut shaming at a bat mitzvah. Something Andy thought he'd never be saying about any of these shows, but okay. The flashback of the bat mitzvah is making me wish I could go back and rewatch that episode for the first time because, my God, that was some excellent television. And one of the best parts was Mary just trying to find her way in there. God, she was like, there were just a lot of windows and doors. It's brought up that Heather said on the after show that it's not on Angie to keep up Britani's appearance of Mormon perfectionism and how she said, how is Angie supposed to know when Britani does drink? Heather says that Britani is living a double life. And Britani denies that, but girl, come on. Like I said, she has a very interesting relationship with facts. We'll say it's loose. Heather says that Britani is an active Mormon, and to be a part of the church, you can't have sex, I guess, out of celestial wedlock, and you can't drink. And she's doing both. And Britani says it's not true because it's up to the bishop. What? Some random bro is going to decide if I'm worthy? Fuck you. Anyway, Bronwyn says she grew up in the Mormon church and that Heather is correct on what she's saying. And Lisa says, Britani, I'm on your side 100% on this. Andy asks Angie if she was being shady bringing the wine to this church night. And I think Angie was being just a little bit because it was like the way she told Britani she brought her wine, almost like she knew she was doing something she shouldn't. But also, Britani does drink wine. And I'm one of those people, I don't like to show up to someone's home empty-handed. You don't do that. Doesn't matter what it is. You just bring a little something. Angie says she wasn't and is starting to say, I think, I'm guessing what she's starting to say is that the first time she met Britani, she was drinking. But Britani interrupts her saying that Angie told her she grew up as Mormon as anyone. Presumably just from the fact that Angie grew up in Utah. And Angie says she grew up with different Mormons from Britani because Britani is from Provo. And y'all, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I think the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives ladies are from Provo, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, Angie tells Britani that she grew up with the Mormons that were the same way Heather was raised because, y'all, Angie, Kay, and Heather went to high school together, remember? Heather said Angie would be like sitting at the lunch table with all the Greeks and Heather would be sitting with all the Mormons. So there you go, which was probably a very large table there in Utah. Angie then says to Britani that she's not a true Mormon and eek. Okay. So I fully get that. Yeah, I really do. But you also can't judge where someone else is spiritually. But Angie is also right. Don't paint Angie out to be a piece of shit for bringing you a bottle of wine when you drink, but also are Mormon. That's your choice to do whatever you would like to do, but don't make it about that, Britani. Jesus Christ. As I'm talking about judging people's spirituality. Sorry. Lisa knows she's next on this list as a Mormon 2.0. So she says, you shouldn't say who's a true Mormon and who's not. Angie says she embraces her religion 7 days a week, not just on Sundays. But Britani tells Angie she's not judging her, so Angie shouldn't judge Britani on that. Britani, you are judging her, though. You judged her for bringing you a gift that was a bottle of wine that you later texted Angie saying, oh my gosh, the wine was so yummy. Jared and I loved it. Girl, you're so full of shit. Sorry. So we get a viewer statement or question, I should say. And Meredith is who it's directed at, asking if after watching the show, do you realize Angie never called Britani I'm sorry, I'm stuttering at the word because it's wild to me that we're still using this word at all in any form in 2025, but okay. Do you realize Angie never called Britani a slut and that she just repeated what Britani said? Or excuse me, that's what Bronwyn said. That is not what Britani said. How are we still not getting this story correct? It was Bronwyn. Meredith just says, I think Britani was upset. She was crying. And Mary tells Meredith, look, you didn't get both sides of the story, though. And I'm loving how Mary is sticking up for Angie. Okay. Meredith just tells Mary, you're correct. But she says she knows what Angie had said at Mary's house during breakfast at Tiffany's brunch. And when Britani says Angie called her a slut, I can't even say the word. Like, what's wrong with me? It was too much. Why is no one holding Bronwyn to the fact that she took the small little thing Britani said that was still shitty, but it was a small thing about Angie and turned it into the word slutty being used? She was the first person to use the word. That is very frustrating. Where is the playback? Roll the tapes, editors. Anyone in the control room? Roll the tapes. Okay, I'm back. But Bronwyn says that Angie did take it too far with the porn star stuff and that Britani will say a lot of things to the women in the group and that Bronwyn, Britani, Bronwyn, Whitney, Britani, you guys. Then it's Mary, Meredith, Mary, and Angie. Y'all, it's like if I don't have their face, and this is another reason, friends, y'all may think I'm weird that I can't help but do the impressions of them. Part of it is it helps me keep track of who I'm talking about because it's hard. My brain makes me stutter if I'm not doing it. So I was trying not to do as many impressions because I know it's kind of annoying sometimes, but my brain works in a very annoying way. Anywho, Bronwyn says that Angie did take it too far with the porn star stuff and that Britani will say a lot of things to the women in the group and that Britani then loses it when they say it back to her because she doesn't like how it sounds when it's directed at her. I suppose, yeah, that's true. And Britani starts to say, sometimes I say things and I don't know how they're coming out of my mouth. Britani, you know, that's another thing Britani does. She states the obvious. You know what I mean? Bronwyn makes the point that Britani says she likes to drink wine, so she can't be mad when someone buys her a bottle of wine. And ain't that the damnedest thing? That's what I'm saying is, Britani, you said you like to drink wine. We've seen you drink wine, margarita. We don't give a shit. You and your fellow, patrons of the, okay, whatever. It's y'all that care, not us. Andy asks Britani how it felt when she came clean about sleeping with Jared and how the women were so supportive of her. She says it felt good and that she cried because she didn't even realize how much trauma I had around the shame and that clearly she has some work she needs to do with that and a lot of other shit, Britani. If she's back next season, we need to hear what her relationship was like with both individual of her parents, her mother, her father. Who was it? Who did this? Who turned you into this? To this doormat? God. She stands up to the wrong people. Do you know what I mean? Why are you and for the wrong reasons? What I just don't understand why Britani doesn't stand up to Bronwyn saying, you are the one who twisted my words saying that I called Angie slutty. You twist words, you word twister. But whatever. Anyway, Mary says she doesn't even know why Britani said she had the physical relationship with Jared. Yeah, because it's the obvious is that we all know. I mean, dude, you don't get this hung up over a guy you're not sleeping with when you're a grown adult. Am I right, ladies? And gents. But Britani says that she did have to say that because it was the one thing she claims she lied about. And then she says, I had to say that in good faith. I wasn't saying that to show that, no, I wasn't secretly recording you, but I did lie about this. Which, my friends, besties, this is a classic maneuver in someone that knows how to lie. I'm not saying this is fully what Britani's doing and that maybe the brain cells were rubbing together for her to do this, but maybe it was. Because someone who is good at lying, I gotta say, those type of people will admit to a lesser and more embarrassing lie rather than the big one, or screw up, I should say. Always pay attention to what people say when you're asking about a major thing like that, a lie, an F up, anything, because if they admit to a lesser offense that is a bit embarrassing, that means they're diverting the attention from the big one. Okay. And that way, that also looks like they are being more open and honest by sharing something a little embarrassing. For example, okay, when Tom Sandoval told Ariana he was taking a poop at the pool party when Ariana's grandmother had just died, that he was not coming home from when he should have been and wasn't answering her calls, he was actually there spending time with Rachel. A little embarrassing to admit you had to take a poop in someone else's potty. Now we are on to Puerto Vallarta. We get a viewer question. Lisa saying Bronwyn was ungrateful, or a question or a statement, actually. Statement. That Lisa saying Bronwyn was ungrateful for the room she gave her in Puerto Vallarta, and it wasn't near Lisa, versus Lisa having a fit about flying in coach and not first class. And basically, ain't that a double standard? Lisa says, I think that there's parts of the conversation missing. First of all, I was like, Bronwyn just got bit by a dog. I wanted her to be in the same room I was in the villa next door, which was like 15 feet away. And that she knew she got bit by this dog and wanted Bronwyn to have the biggest room in the other villa because Lisa's was the biggest in her villa. Y'all, that I can't lie, that dog bite was really bad, and it had to have been very, very painful, because that's not just the teeth piercing, it's also the bruising. Now, the dog was actually, we find out from Bronwyn, being fostered, and the foster parent didn't know it had some aggression issues with other dogs, and he was irresponsible, clearly, by just putting the dog in the dog park and going to his car to take a phone call. Bronwyn says that she knew you're not supposed to scream, run away, jerk your arm, but in the moment, you really lose it. And she did all those things. So, okay, let's make this like an educational moment, okay? Because apparently, according to Mary, a little finger in the dog's booty butt doesn't work. Sorry, that's what we have my son call his hiney, because I don't want him running around saying butt. I don't know. I think it's cuter when he says booty butt. So I asked ChatGPT, who else? If a dog has latched onto your arm or leg and isn't letting go, you'll need to act quickly to minimize an injury and get the dog to release its grip. Here's what you should do. And Bronwyn said pretty much all of this. Stay calm and avoid panic. No panicking or thrashing, which can make the dog bite harder or cause more tissue damage. And you're supposed to take deep breaths to control your reaction and think clearly. I'm sorry, if a cute little fluffer nutter is biting me, that's one thing. But if like a little beast, a little muscular beast is literally monster packing their maw on my arm, I can't control my breathing and think clearly. It said, do not, in all caps, pull or yank away, because pulling away forcefully can worsen the injury, causing tearing or deeper wounds. Instead, try to stabilize the part of body being bitten to reduce damage. And Mary actually was correct too. It says, try to stop the dog's airflow. Dogs tend to release when they feel discomfort or a lack of air. Here are a few ways to do this safely. Now, bear in mind, I'm not saying, I'm glad this doesn't say like to hit the dog, because you don't want to do that. But oh, my notes just signed me out. Cute. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for that. See, this is what happens. At least I wasn't live for that. Cool. So we're like so far down here. Again, this is, I'm trying to educate people. Google Docs, you asshole. Okay, anyway. Dogs is to try to stop the dog's airflow. Dogs tend to release when they feel discomfort or lack of air. Here's a few ways to do this safely. Press into the dog's throat gently. Use your free hand or arm to press upward under the dog's jaw or neck to make it harder for them to breathe. That can prompt them to let it go, or cover the dog's nose briefly. Covering its nostrils can cause a release reflex as the dog struggles to breathe, or apply pressure to the sides of its jaw, because you squeeze just behind its molars where its jaw hinges to trigger a little pressure and pain and a release. So be careful when doing this, as improper pressure can escalate aggression and you don't want to hurt the dog either. Distract the little monster, grab or throw something nearby, a stick, jacket, water bottle, bag. Try making a loud, deep, authoritative tone with yelling stop or no. Maybe splashing water or spraying a hose can startle the dog into releasing. Also, trying the push-in technique. It says in parentheses, this is counterintuitive but effective. Instead of pulling away, push toward the dog's mouth to force it to adjust its bite. This technique can make the dog uncomfortable and encourage it to release. So if it continues to attack, protect your head, neck, curling into a ball if necessary. Shield yourself, things like that. But don't turn your back or run, as this can trigger the dog to chase. Move toward a safe location, such as inside a building, car, or elevated spot. Okay, so we did some learnings today. I then was curious. I'm like, well, the finger in the booty, but that's all I'd heard one time. And I would never want any of you besties to be in that position, but there you go, just in case. I really hope you never need that info though. Okay. But Bronwyn says she did all the wrong things. I mean, listen, I get it. It would be hard to even think straight. And Bronwyn actually did not sue. She paid for the dog to get medical attention because there was actually a medical issue with the dog. And now he's on a farm away from dogs and people. Okay. All's well that ends well. I think that's really admirable the way Bronwyn handled that, because she could have easily sued. She could have easily gone the distance on it, but she didn't. I appreciate that, because usually when a dog bites, there really is something like a medical issue, or you never know what could be going on because they don't have more than a few ways to communicate with us. So there you go. Okay. Andy asks Whitney where she heard that Lisa returns her clothing. And Whitney says,
From someone that works at Nordstrom.
Lisa goes, oh my God, I don't even shop at Nordstrom. And you can look at my Amex bill. Everything's purchased. I don't even want to defend this because it's so stupid. I don't return my clothes.
Andy asks Lisa why she stormed out of the Vita dinner after Angie said she felt that she got to know Bronwyn more on the boat than she has Lisa in all these years. And Lisa really just thought it was a dig and that they were better friends than that. So she felt like she was trying to be a peace broker between Angie and Meredith, but was upset Angie wouldn't let her talk and shut her down. Angie tells Lisa she wanted to hear what Meredith had to say regarding her feelings on Angie. Brittany says to Meredith at the side there,
I was happy you stood up for me, by the way. Thank you.
Meredith just looks at her and nods with a very tight smile. She is not here to play Brittany Bateman's reindeer games, honey. Angie says that Meredith is a lawyer and that Angie's a hairdresser. So Meredith should be able to sit her down and talk with her. And Lisa says, it's not about that, but
how comfortable you are with friends and peers and a group and coworkers and hosts like Andy, Daddy Andy, and with people who love to drink Vita tequila. Anyway.
Angie tells Lisa that Meredith should be able to take her out, essentially verbally, because she's just a effing beauty school student, which actually makes everyone laugh, it seemed, before the break, but maybe not. Lisa is now asking Angie if she's directing all of her issues with Meredith at her. And Angie says no, but that she's trying to tell Lisa that Meredith has an education and should be able to sit down with her and have a conversation as the mature women that they are. Lisa wants to stick to this being between her and Angie and says that Meredith is essentially absolved of this conversation. And Lisa goes on to say that she was very hurt because
I felt like I told you all my feelings.
But Angie says that Bronwyn told them more than anyone there put together has shared. Lisa's not happy about this.
Lisa says, you know what? You shared a moment. It was a very vulnerable moment, but it was one moment. She was on the phone with me every day for 3 years. Like, sorry, there's a big difference.
Angie is trying to point out how much it all was that Bronwyn was sharing, including Gwen, her daughter, reading the text messages off of Todd's iPad. Andy then asks Bronwyn if she feels that Lisa likes to play the victim and if she thinks Lisa has trouble having empathy for others. Lisa just goes, "Wow. Girl, this wasn't even a viewer question the way Andy framed it. It kind of sounds like production gave him that question to ask." But Bronwyn says that she thinks when something happens to Lisa, like I was saying before, she takes it more seriously than when it happens to someone else. But she doesn't think that Lisa victimizes herself at all. Bronwyn goes on that there were plenty of things said about her own marriage, but that when something is said about Lisa's, it's worthy of throwing things and coming after Angie. But Lisa's trying to tell her, look, these are two totally different scenarios. And I agree with that part right there, full stop. What was read about Lisa and John? I mean, come the F on. That was horrible, deplorable, terrible, all the bulls. But nothing, I mean, nothing can defend the quote unquote analogy Lisa threw at Angie. If Lisa wanted to get Angie to understand, she should have said, "And how do you feel when the rumors, or how did you feel when the rumors were brought on camera about Sean? You've held a grudge against Meredith for 2 years because of that. How did that feel? Because that's how I'm feeling. And you laughing because you're uncomfortable hurts like a mofo." That's what she could have said. You know, Lisa tells Bronwyn, though, that when Whitney said what she did about her and John, that she has a 5-year history with Whitney doing this, and that Bronwyn doesn't have a history with Whitney like that, where, shit has been said multiple times. But Bronwyn's telling Lisa that it doesn't really matter because she went through shit being said about her marriage for months. Oh my God, Bronwyn. It matters that you dealt with it, but it does also matter because Lisa has gotten shit from Whitney for 5 years. It's not Lisa's job to defend your marriage. I'm sorry, honey, that's your job. And no, you shouldn't have to defend your marriage at all. But you're on a show that takes it there, and you chose to speak about your marriage. Like it or not, that is what you signed up for. And do not even try to say, "Well, I'd never seen the show." Bullshit. Lisa brings up that she told Heather and Meredith that Todd and Bronwyn have such a great marriage and that Todd adores her and yada, yada, yada. And there's some unseen footage of Lisa doing just that when they were at the spa. Lisa has every right to make this excellent point here, though. She says, "I stood up for your marriage, but here I'm getting a mind fuck because, oh, now we're going to say Todd's a piece of effing shit. F Todd." Bronwyn tells her she's allowed to say whatever she wants about her own marriage. And again, okay, yes, that's true. But then don't get pissy when people are talking about it, Bronwyn, because if you're going to talk about it and open up that conversation with the people in this environment where they are then allowed to have discourse about it, you are going to look like a crazy person. Lisa tells her, "Yes, 100%. But then you can't hold me responsible for your sweatshops." Exactly. God. I know Lisa drives a lot of people crazy, but you have to admit she is absolutely spot on about this. Bronwyn then says that Lisa shouldn't be on a hot mic telling Angie she doesn't know why Bronwyn is looking for sympathy regarding the Todd confession. Oh my God. That's not what Lisa said. Golly. You are probably, Bronwyn, the best newbie, new edition housewife we've ever had. And that might be controversial to say, but I still mean that. Bronwyn, I'll mean that till the cows come home. But you twist everything to fit your narrative, Bronwyn, to paint yourself as the victim in every situation. And it's, oh, I mean, I love watching it though. I'm a menace. Lisa tells Bronwyn she didn't say that, which is true. As if we needed the flashback, but it does show Lisa telling Angie, "That was interesting." And Angie saying,
I felt sorry for her. And all Lisa says is, oh. And then when Todd sees this, he's going to lose his mind.
That was all. That was all. Lisa says she was digesting it all and then just randomly throws in,
You said Todd was launching a new hedge fund?
Lisa heard money and that's what she paid attention to. And then finally gets back on course and asks Bronwyn,
When have you stuck up for me in public? Because she,
Whitney,
and she said
Angie.
a lot of shit about me.
Bronwyn reminds Lisa that she said to Whitney and Angie that she didn't have that experience with Lisa, and that at the Bezos party, when Whitney was being so intense with Lisa, that Bronwyn said she should not be doing that. And y'all, I do remember Bronwyn standing up for Lisa while also being very new to the group. And I did love and live for the fact that Bronwyn didn't seem to have any fear after what seemed to us was her just meeting everyone. I would have been shitting my pants. Just saying. Lisa then says to Bronwyn,
Don't lie about me, and then I won't tell the truth.
Ooh, girl, what's the truth? Do tell. Which Bronwyn tells her it's not okay to threaten someone. And
Yeah, that's a threat there, Lisa Pooh.
Andy has to give a Bezos, and Whitney just randomly goes,
I'm going to take my shoe off and throw it at somebody.
okay, Whitney, whatever. Don't worry, we didn't forget you were there. We move on to Andy asking Brittany if she was so concerned about Meredith crying and throwing up, why didn't she talk to Meredith about it first instead of taking it to the group? Brittany and Meredith both say that yes, Brittany did go to Meredith first, but Meredith says
She did. And I told her it wasn't true. And she then proceeded to tell them that it was.
oh, Brittany, girl, I'm gonna pray for you as you start this next sentence because goddamn. Brittany goes, I'm sorry, but the sound of someone throwing up is distinguishable. I didn't want to out you, but I literally woke up from a dead sleep to sounds of someone throwing up. And she says that she was fully out of it and just dead to the world and woke up to it. And Meredith looks at her and goes,
You're a liar.
And oh my gosh, I'm shaking for Brittany. Oh, but I'm loving it. Oh my gosh,
because then Brittany tells Meredith, oh, Brittany goes, shh, I am talking.
oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
And you get secondhand fear for someone. It's kind of like the secondhand embarrassment, but lots of fear. So that's what I'm feeling. Meredith just tells her,
I don't care. I am not going to let you spread lies about me. I've had enough of them.
Brittany asks her, do you think I'm insinuating you have an eating disorder? Because I'm not. And Meredith says,
I don't care what you think you are insinuating because you are lying. And I am not going to allow it. I've had enough of the lies. We are finished.
And Brittany thinks she's actually going to get a word in, which is hilarious at this point. Brittany is trying to say something to Whitney somewhere along the lines of, that's like saying that you, and Whitney goes,
don't pull me into this.
Don't blame you, Whit. Meredith has had the rocket ship activated and she is launched for outer space, y'all. Meredith is not stopping for anything. Meredith keeps going,
were you in my room?
And keeps asking Brittany this over and over. And Brittany, this is not the time or the meaning or the place or the anything for you to say, that was my truth. Everyone just groans and they're like, no, Brittany, no, you are just making this a million bazillion times worse. What you could do at this point, Brittany, is say, I will have to take your word that you are saying that is not the truth, as I believed fully that's what was happening. So while I can't acquiesce that I was lying because I genuinely believed that's what I heard with my own ears, I apologize if I was wrong and you are adamant that I am. It's as simple as that, Brittany. I mean, okay, that wasn't the most simple statement, but she's hung up on being called a liar. And I can understand that after the whole recording thing, where you were recording the girlies unbeknownst to them and then lying about what you were really doing. I just need you to know there are ways to handle this, girly pop. Meredith just tells Brittany,
You are a liar. I don't care to discuss it further. You are a liar.
and Brittany thinks she's all big and bad now because she's like, well, I do. I want to keep talking about it. Girl, Meredith is going to eat you up, and you aren't even going to be the main course. You're the appetizer. Okay, you're an appetizer or a dessert. You aren't big enough to be the main course for Meredith to gobble you up. And that is what she will do if you don't shut your mouth. Thank you, Andy, for asking Meredith if Brittany accused her of having an eating disorder, because that was such a reach and a leap. It was like interpretive dance. It was a work of art. It was such a leap to what we saw. And Lisa ends up saying that that's how it got back to Meredith. And Andy says, you can throw up for a lot of reasons, the flu, anything, and it doesn't mean you have an ED. Brittany says that she actually had an ED when she was younger and that she would never accuse someone of that. So there you go, which Meredith rolls her eyes at, but Andy gets to the meat of it all, saying, speaking of double talk, you gave several different explanations as to why you were recording the women in the Sprinter. And you just hear Bronwyn saying, there were 4. Andy gives some of them. 1 was you were sending a video to Olivia. 2, you were filming the scenery. 3, you were saving the video. And Brittany's trying to say, it's all different parts of the truth. Oh, okay. But Bronwyn is all too happy to recall that there was a 4th after Lisa notes it by Bronwyn saying, oh, and it was also that she was supposedly congratulating Olivia on a math test. So here is word for word what Brittany is saying it was. I was trying to take a selfie for Livy to send to her later. I had the camera turned around backwards. I turned it forwards. And by then, Angie was like all over me. And no one believes her quote unquote excuses. So Brittany's like, excuses? It was like 2 seconds. The camera turned forward about 5 seconds. Yes, it was. Not to like throw editing under the bus, but that's editing. Andy's like, editing cannot edit something to be significantly longer. Not the way they ended up showing the camera set up on Brittany from the second she hit record. So there you go. That flashback where it's actually uncensored of Lisa saying to Whitney, you're a fucking bitch. Why am I like this that I just love it so much? Okay. It was 24 seconds long of recording. I mean, I don't know, y'all. I still think Brittany at the end of it was like, oh, let me go ahead and get this. But I think it does sometimes take a second to turn that camera around. If you're ever FaceTiming with someone and you're like, have the camera on you, and then you're like, oh, let me show you what's over there. And you just hit to flip the camera and then flip it back around. It does take a second. I don't want to defend Brittany on this, but I have to be honest. And I know the collective wants me to say that, no, Brittany was absolutely recording. She was, but not totally. I don't think it dawned on her until maybe right before Angie said something, if you want to know my hot take on it. Andy says the obvious reason at the collective freak out by the women is what they've been through with Monica. And Brittany goes, and that was abusive. And I'm still recovering from that. I am not kidding. I am traumatized. Mary just goes, okay, we'll get over it then. It happened and it's done. Then she adds, hopefully you are too. Oh, no, Mary, I think they need to bring Brittany back only as a friend of. Do not make her full-time, please, for the love of God. But Andy concludes that everyone there is still recovering from trauma. Okay. Andy asks Mary why it bothered her that Angie chased after Brittany at the Lisa Barlow lunch, adding that Mary claimed Angie knew how she felt about Brittany and how she does, and asks how does she feel about Brittany. Brittany ends up saying before Mary can answer that she didn't know how Mary felt about her. Really? Okay. Delulu Barbie, you had no clue at all at that little lunch y'all had. I can't even remember what after the zip lining, a little lunch. Was that zip lining? I can't remember now. But y'all, Mary made it clear she did not like you. She then says to Mary that I really like you and I'm sorry you don't like me. Okay. Mary tells her that she doesn't find her to be honest and finds her immature and that she thinks she can't take accountability. Brittany tries to say that she attempts to be amicable with her word, but she does concede to Mary saying she's immature. Mary then goes, "You're a little bit lopsided for me. I have enough going on in my life. I don't need another train wreck." Man, Mary does not mince her words, even when it's the fun clocked in. Mary, she will not mince those words, honey. This makes Bronwyn crack up a little bit. And Mary said she felt betrayed and that Angie was being fake, running after Brittany. So that's what made her mad. Andy brings up that Meredith said in an interview that she talked to Jen Shaw in prison, and he asks about that. Meredith says it was brief because Jen called her. She obviously can't make an outgoing call to Jen Shaw in prison. Whitney goes,
How is that not any worse than me talking to Monica?
Meredith says, I didn't sink Jen out to dig dirt on my friends. And Whitney goes,
I didn't dig dirt. I was looking for a receipt. I was wiping some dust off, but I was looking to see if I overpaid for the crystal that is supposed to heal my exploited vagina's third eye.
Meredith continues that regarding Jen, she's taken accountability, served time, and is paying restitution. Y'all, and damn if Whitney does not have an excellent point here. Whitney goes,
I'm sorry, but that woman traumatized us way more than Monica did.
Mary says if Jen called her, she wouldn't take the call because Jen tormented them. Jen was a monster to them. Meredith goes, well, that's surprising because what is she supposed to do moving forward? She served her time. She's paying restitution. What is she supposed to do? And, she's being accountable for it. So what is she supposed to do? Just curl up in a corner and die? And this is after Mary clarifies that Jen is serving her time, that she has not served her time. She's only been in there about 2 years. Andy reminds Meredith that Jen lied to all of their faces. Meredith acknowledges that, but says, I'm not like I'm going over there for a sleepover. It was a 10-minute phone call. Well, Meredith, I do hear that they don't have bathtubs in prison, so my assumption is that was not the purpose of your conversation. Don't worry. Mary calls out that Jen was horrible to Meredith's children. Remember, Jen tweeting and retweeting really shitty things about Brooks. But this is where Meredith says you get second chances in life, which Mary tells her that Jen went too far for a second chance with her. And I do find it funny that Meredith will give Jen Shaw a second chance, but Sean's little podcast appearance cannot and will not, shall not be forgotten. Mary points out that Jen lied up until the day she couldn't, literally screaming her innocence. I'm innocent. Bunch of shit. And that Jen had said she thought Meredith and Mary were the reason she even had the feds on her and had to go to prison. Remember, Jen thought that Meredith called the feds. Homeland Security. Yes. Is there a 1-800 number for Homeland Security? I highly doubt it. Of course, who knows? It's America. There might be. Meredith says she forgives everyone in order for herself to move forward in life, which causes Angie to ask if she forgives her. And she says, yes, of course. Whitney asks Heather,
Heather, is your name on her call list?
About Jen. And Heather just gives a very humorless laugh saying, no. I think Heather is just feeling that she is finally free of Jen Shaw. So no. This whole thing of forgiveness steers Angie to take it in a different direction, saying it hurt when Seth kept pointing out Angie calling Meredith a bitch and admits it was shitty in the moment of being heated, but says she got kicked out of Meredith's event. Like, do you not realize you kicked me out? Meredith is annoyed at this, and honestly, I understand why. We have put that to bed at this point. Because Meredith tells Angie that this is stemming from Angie coming for her for 2 years over something she did not do. I thought that conversation, we were done. Because we know it was not Meredith who started the rumors about Sean. Oy vey. But Andy seems like he's about to say his favorite phrase, I don't want to relitigate this. And Mary stops Meredith and asks if she can take any accountability in her part with Angie. And Meredith's like, yeah, I apologize to Angie in Mexico. And, Mary looks at Angie and she's like, oh, she did? Mary, you were there, honey. And Angie's like, yeah, kind of. So Mary's like, Angie, you need to move forward too. Like, this is also on you, honey. And they conclude that it's time to move forward as well. Now it's brought up when Mary said Meredith, Heather, and Lisa are not the friendliest people, and how Meredith looked at Mary and said, even me, Mary? Like, Meredith was going, these two bitches are frosty, but what about me, Mary? Britani, though, is who will start chiming in with the what about me? And asks Mary if she thinks that she was cold to her. Mary's not biting, though. Mary's not playing your reindeer games either, Britani. She tells her that she's literally known her for like 2 seconds, and then says to Britani, I'm going to need you to stop talking. Now, when I said Meredith would eat Britani up for an appetizer or dessert because she's not even big enough for a main course, Mary will eat Britani up. Not even like an appetizer would be making Britani too big. She's like, listen, you are the tiny little snack before the appetizer and main meal. Okay, Britani, don't go there. Meredith is now going to get all in her feels. And she says, so yes, Angie, maybe you're right. I am a cold bitch because when people aren't nice to me, I can be very cold. Mary's just like, yeah, you can be. Meredith then tells Mary, you're nice to me, usually. Yeah, okay. So when you're nice to me, I'm warm. Heather having the group read their worst thing they'd said about someone else is now the topic. Andy ends up asking what Heather's goal in all of that was. And I'm sorry, Heather, but I am not about to take notes on your 7,000th monologue of the season. She says, immersion therapy. Like we give these words power to other people, but it's within us and we're hurting each other and we're saying it about each other. And we wanted to just burn it and we're all in it together. Okay, so I took notes on it. Heather, enough. This isn't Girl Scouts or the sorority meeting. Jeez. Mary says she doesn't think every one of them does that, though. Take accountability. Or I'm sorry, that not every one of them does that, as in digging up dirt, trying to find receipts on other people. And I really do highly doubt Mary gives a rat's ass to dig up a damn thing on one single person in this group. She's like, I do not care. Mary says she thinks some of them don't take accountability and admit when they're wrong. So Bronwyn is then asked about Angie's text where Angie said Bronwyn sucked her way to the top after a season of kind of being friends with Angie for the most part. Bronwyn answers that she agreed to play the game, and that's kind of what she got, and that she also wishes other people had that commitment to the decision we made that night to burn things. In other words, she means Lisa. Andy says when it worked, it really did work, and it's true. So now it has to lead us to the rumor Whitney read about a third party joining John and Lisa in their bedroom. And really, the question is, where do we go from here? But the actual question is, are you two going to pretend to make up so that you don't get fired and we can give another season the storyline of y'all kind of being on okay terms just for Whitney to pull some random shit from a random content creator against Lisa? That's the real question. Whitney keeps trying to ask if they're going to burn it or not. And Lisa is telling Heather to hold on a second because Heather is trying to mumble something to her. When Whitney goes,
Lisa, listen to me, please. I burned the most horrific thing hearing it from Heather.
That, what Heather said about you, yeah, that was cruel, but it was not
even on the same level as what you had Lisa read. I'm sorry, but that's nowhere near. God. Because you have to realize if Whitney is saying she heard this from a random person at a party, Lisa's brain is also going, so people are saying this about me. Whether people truly are or not, your brain's going to go there too. Like hearing a horrible rumor about yourself. Y'all, I've been there. High school was horrible for me. I had horrible, untrue rumors spread about me. And it just ended up seeming like a new week meant a new random ass rumor that I was like, I don't even know how that's possible that someone could make this up about me. I wasn't even at XYZ location. I was at home, so wow. Anyway, Lisa says,
I don't have to do what everybody else does. I'm my own person.
Whitney keeps going though.
But it was cathartic. It actually validated what I knew that she,
Heather,
thought in this drift in our friendship. And when we were able,
did she say drift or rift? Because I'm going to laugh my effing ass off if it was drift or if autocorrect put in drift instead of rift. Oh, anyway.
and when we were able to stare each other in the eyes and burn it, it started filling those trenches.
Yeah, okay. Whatever.
You could not burn the fact that I am sorry that I've talked about your marriage. Why can't you burn it?
I don't know if that was like totally the proper use of trenches, but it's the technical definition. But okay. Heather tries to tell Lisa that Whitney is saying she's sorry and she is sorry as Meredith volleys over to Lisa that Whitney keeps doing the same thing over and over again, which prompts Lisa to go,
because you keep doing it since the first season, second, 2, 3, 4, 5.
oh my God. Now Bronwyn's like, oh my God, what about me? There's so many what about me's. She's going to jump in the fray. And Lisa now tells Bronwyn,
This is not your marriage. This is mine we're talking about.
as Whitney is attempting to yell in her, little 4-year-old,
I want to pony, mommy.
voice over everyone to stay out of it. And then she just yells and like puts her hands up like she's doing a crossbow.
I want to burn this with Lisa fucking Barlow.
They even put like an echo sound effect on her because that was like, girl, come on. I'm like, what the anyway. Andy tells Lisa that Whitney is trying to burn it and move forward. And y'all, Daddy looks exhausted. He's tired. He's very tired. It's been a long day. But Whitney is yelling,
I could have said a lot of worse things.
and as she theorizes that she could have said a lot of worse things, she goes on to say some of those worse things.
About how I think you're fake, phony, selfish, unaware, but I chose that because that is the thing that has hurt you the most, and I am sorry.
And it's just silence for a second. Like, Whitney, you said you were okay. And Lisa, then she takes it in for a second and goes,
You know what? You know what the thing is? Like, I put up with a lot from Whitney since season 1, and there are horrible things that are said about you every day to me. Every day, and I don't repeat them.
and Whitney's like,
Good for you. You called me a liar.
Whitney, being called a liar versus claiming there is a rumor that Lisa and John have an open marriage and in explicit detail what was done, give me a fucking break. Anyway, and Lisa goes,
Because you lied about me.
Heather asks Lisa if she even wants to repair it. And Whitney's just going
That's so noble of you, Lisa Barlow.
to not speak up on all the horrible things she hears about Whitney on the daily. And Lisa's getting annoyed with everyone just talking in her ear, like da 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 da. Whitney keeps trying to talk, and Lisa is not letting it happen at this point. She's done. She's done. Whew. And she's now climbed up on the tallest high diving board that I was always way too scared to get on those high dives. Oh my gosh, I was never a thrill seeker as a child, and I'm not now. But Lisa has climbed up top there. She's ready. She's there. Lisa starts freaking out, and she asks Whitney, because Whitney will not shut the fuck up.
Can I speak without you fucking yelling? Stop talking for 5 fucking seconds. My God, it's like, burn it, burn it, burn it. Can I get a second to effing think?
And all you can hear is Whitney's baby voice over it still.
And Hill feelings on healing the journey.
Oh my God. Lisa is yelling all of this, though, as Whitney goes ahead and just looks at Meredith and asks if she can repair her relationship with Meredith, since Lisa won't burn it with them. And Meredith just goes, yeah. Lisa has now gone ahead, walked to the edge of that high dive board, and she is not just diving, she is doing a cannonball, because here we go. This is where it gets real wild. Lisa goes,
I have been through a lot with every single,
and she really gives Heather a pointed look,
person here. You guys have fucked me over so many times that it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to be myself.
Whitney's not going to let that one pass, because Whitney whispers,
You've also fucked us over.
but Lisa, no, she's hurtling toward the deep end of the pool, and she has tucked that cute little baby gorgeous body into a ball, and she's cannonballing, because what the fuck was this next thing she just said? What the fuck was this? Lisa goes,
I am one of 6 kids. I disappeared in my family. I could have been trafficked and my parents wouldn't have noticed.
what, Lisa? Girl, of all the things,
I could have disappeared. I could have run away. I could have been kidnapped.
but trafficked? Oh, God. Okay. It's not funny, but fuck. um, Lisa goes,
I protect myself all the time. And when people fuck with John, Jack, and Henry, you burn something that you can never get back. I have always said I have a soft spot for you, Whitney. I show you grace all the time. I am not fake. Okay, I'm not fake. I am honest. I'm an honest, good friend to everybody here. I'm sick of people saying, oh, Lisa only cares about herself. I care about every single person, and I always put their feelings before myself. Bronwyn, why are you shaking your head now?
it's like Lisa just now noticed that Bronwyn is an escapee from the Bobblehead Museum in Milwaukee, because girl, Bronwyn has been nodding, shaking, bubbling that head of hers non-stop all season. I don't even know how you knew this time was different at this point. I really don't. But Bronwyn tells Lisa, because you just tried to pull something out of your phone to burn me, even though we agreed months ago to stop effing doing this to each other. Whitney is still yelling,
Lisa, 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 Lisa.
Jesus Christ, Whitney, shut up. Like, just give it a rest for a second. Lisa is now yelling at Bronwyn.
Oh, so now you're going to turn it on that? Talk to Emma. Talk to Emma. It's between you and Emma.
Okay, then don't bring it up. Sorry, but don't. Bronwyn now is still going as Whitney gets up and goes over to Lisa, because she can't yell past Bronwyn's rose garden on her right shoulder. And oh my God, you guys. Lisa clearly thinks Whitney is coming in for a hug, but she's not. And Lisa sits back down. Whitney tells her,
Fake is when you say you forgive someone and you still bring it up years later.
so Lisa's telling her,
I forgive, but when you do it again, then we have a problem again. And saying I'm sorry means you'll never do it again.
which she says she said that in confessional. And I fully agree with that statement from Lisa. In fact, that is exactly what we are trying to teach our toddler, that's what saying I'm sorry means. I'm sorry doesn't mean I'm just going to say I'm sorry to get out of whatever trouble I am in. I'm sorry means I'm not doing this again to you or doing that again. So, but he's 3 and sometimes has the memory span of a goldfish. Lisa is explaining to Whitney that the problem is that Whitney keeps doing it over and over again, and it's just going in circles. But surprisingly, Whitney does tell her she knows this. And just as Lisa calms down, just as she effing calms down, Whitney goes,
Lisa, you are the one that brought it up.
oh my God. You can just feel everyone collectively throw their hands up and smack them down on their laps because, for the love of God, Whitney, just shut up and go, okay, I won't do it anymore. Please don't bring up shit against me either, okay? There. But Lisa says to her,
Because you said you didn't lie, and you lied about Alibaba. No, it wasn't to prove anything.
Whitney tells her to stop. But Whitney, you're the one who just took this backwards. You put it in reverse. And you didn't flip it down and reverse it. Sorry. And they just keep talking over each other, which causes Meredith to lean over and go, can I help? And Lisa says,
Yes, please.
Meredith tells Whitney, here's where the problem is coming. But Whitney interrupts her and says,
I am happy to let you help if you are fair 50-50. Because I am so sick of being the fall guy for everyone.
I don't really feel like that's the case. I feel like people pile on Lisa more than you, but they have mostly justifiable reasons to pile on to you, Whit. Sorry. Meredith says she will, and that she's trying to tell her that there's a way to move forward because she's had her own issues with Lisa, and that's why she's the one trying to interject. And it's the up and down of how it all keeps happening over and over again. Like, how many times, Whitney, do we have to fucking tell you that? God. Even recapping it is making me a little nuts. Like, I would have been losing my shit in there, sitting in an uncomfortable dress with all the glam, the lashes on, the extensions, the hair, the heels, and not being able to get up and just move around for a minute. Oh, now that sounds so exhausting. Anyway, Meredith brings up that they apparently had a beautiful lunch last year where Whitney apologized to Meredith for coming at her with all the quote unquote fake stuff. And apparently that was not shown, but that because they're good, Meredith wants to remind Whitney that when Whitney told Meredith what she had learned, we'll say that word loosely, about Lisa allegedly being the one who outed the Alibaba shit, that Meredith told her that's a big accusation and you better have concrete evidence, but that Whitney didn't, and she went ahead and ran with it. And Whitney's just like,
Got it. We'll address that later.
Meredith is trying to get Whitney to see that even after all of that, Whitney never changed her behavior. And again, y'all, Daddy is so tired. Andy, listen, I'm tired too, and I wasn't even sitting there half as long. And he says he cannot do this back and forth anymore. So Whitney gets up, and Andy ends up asking her if she's okay if she and Lisa don't really resolve this. Because listen, y'all, Daddy is checking his watch right here. He's got a grinder appointment at 7:30, and it's 6:49, baby. Let's move it along. Whitney goes,
I just don't think it's fair that I have to take accountability for everything, but she doesn't have to.
Whitney, shut up. And I mean, they're like children. It's so sophomoric at this point. And Lisa goes,
Oh, wait, that's a label you guys like to put on me all the time, that I don't take accountability.
And Whitney says to her,
You've been in the same conversation on repeat all day.
I mean, sorry, baby gorgeous, but Whitney is not wrong. At least on this one. Heather's like, God damn it, we were so close. The plane was there. It was going to land. But Lisa is still going on about her soft spot for Whitney until she feels like Whitney is effing with her. And Lisa does end up realizing she needs to keep this spot on the show, because she then says,
I do love you. We have a fucked up friendship, but I do love you.
And Whitney tells her,
And I have a lot of
excuse me. And Whitney tells her,
And I do have a lot of love and respect for you too.
Lisa agrees to never bring any of this shit up again. And that's when I'm like, okay, we got through it. Finally. Just kidding. Because Whitney says she'll never do that again to Lisa. And Lisa goes, and if you do, it's ignited.
And if you call me a liar again, same.
Yes. Andy concludes that part with asking Heather if she still has the penis apron, and she doesn't. Okay. So we're going to get to the conclusion of this reunion. Finally, Andy decides to conclude this monster of a reunion with asking all the ladies to do basically the opposite of the game they played in Puerto Vallarta, where they need to come up with the nicest compliment or the best thing that they can say about another person. And y'all, I am officially deceased because I am dying. Brittany is backstage after being dismissed, and she just whispers to the camera, I should be out there. What am I doing? What about me? Oh, Brittany. I would say don't ever change, but I already know you won't. Okay, so we start with Mary saying something about Heather. She says, Heather is powerful, smart, and has a lot of love. She just doesn't know who to give it to. And then she says, so love me back, girl. And Heather's tearing up saying, I love you back. Lisa is going for Whitney, saying that Whitney works really hard. She's a great mom. She also cares a lot about Whitney. And when Whitney commits to being a friend, she's a great one. And she wishes Whitney the best in all of her businesses. Now it's time for Meredith to say something positive about Angie and Sean. So she starts with, Angie, you look very pretty. Because remember, Angie said that whenever you're having one of these type of conversations, always start with a compliment. So the easiest one is you look pretty. Also, that Angie's a great mother, that Angie loves her family. She's very driven and hardworking and successful. And then she says, and I haven't seen it, but based on the relationship you formed with Mary, I think you obviously can be a very good friend. Angie is going to do Meredith, and she says that Meredith is a really lovely mother, that she's beautiful, and I actually secretly like her when she's not, But Mary, they all start cracking up. Angie secretly liking Meredith. And Mary says, well, Angie holds grudges. And Angie says she's working on that. Now it's Bronwyn's turn to say something about Heather, which is that she's always wanted to be friends with Heather. And she has said that a lot. And she envies the relationship that Heather has with the other women, and that also she does not like arguing with people. But even when she is arguing with Heather, she likes arguing with Heather more than anyone because Heather's smart and she thinks she's doing an incredible job with her daughters. Heather's crying. And also Bronwyn, I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. And Heather is crying and says she knows Bronwyn gets being a single mother the same way Heather does. So now it's Heather's turn for Bronwyn, and she thinks Bronwyn's been through a lot of trauma that she completely understands and recognizes that it's hard for the world to understand the lens of shame and oppression when you're not meeting the perfect Mormon mold. And she thinks Bronwyn has been remarkable and that Gwen is remarkable. And I think your husband, Alan, is great. Cute joke. And she also thinks Bronwyn's fabulous and looks forward to getting to know her in that group dynamic. It's Whitney's turn for Lisa.
Well, this is something she already knows. Lisa has the best hair. It's so shiny.
And that the things that drive Whitney the craziest about Lisa are actually the things she really loves about her. Her perfectionism and how Lisa goes the distance. And that when Lisa shows up as a friend, she's a great friend, and that she has been a great friend to Whitney in the past. Well, because Brittany is gone, no one does Mary. So Mary looks at Andy and says, I want you to do me. And Andy's like, well, I was going to have Meredith do you, but okay, I'll do you, Miriam Cosby. He tells Mary that she showed her heart, showed what an incredible mother she is, that she was open, understanding, and how compassionate she is, and that she's very good about meeting someone where they are and guiding them toward light, and that she's funny as hell. And Mary is extremely touched. So she wants to say something about Andy, which we've never seen anyone do something like that. And this is very sweet and it makes Andy tear up. But she tells him he's a star, intelligent, smart, incredible, an amazing father. And she brings up that Andy was actually very supportive of her and reached out to her when she felt that the whole world was against her. So that's sweet. That's nice to hear that Andy did that. And she also says that Andy has something that no one else does because she's never met another Andy Cohen. And we close out with Miller High Lifes. And of course, Heather's going to do the toast. One final monologue from Heather.
To the most powerful, incredible, influential, terrifying women who have changed my life and who have supported me and forced me to change my life in the best possible way. And to you, Andy Cohen.
And somewhere, Brittany Bateman is saying, "What about me, you guys?" And that is a wrap on season 5 of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Besties, I have loved going on this journey with you. Don't worry, I'm not going to monologue. And I promise I am coming back with some more recaps of the other shows. You know, it's so hard when a certain franchise is giving you everything to even look at the other franchises. I have to be honest. Salt Lake City, I had a hard time at the very beginning getting into it, but now, dare I say, it's my favorite franchise. Oh my God, they did it. They really did it. We did it, Joe. Okay, besties. Please leave a 5-star review with a nice little note if you can about the show. I really do read all of them. And y'all, this is so embarrassing, but I absolutely just randomly checked the reviews when I was in the gym the other day and I started tearing up because it meant so much. Someone said they loved listening while they would go on their walks, and someone was saying they appreciate that I'm supporting women, because I do. And I'm also going to call the women out when we have to. But I just want you to know, I really do read them and they really warm my heart. Now I'm going to tear up and it's not even about me like that. Oh my God. Caitlin, don't cry on the internet or on your podcast, you dork. Please go ahead and follow at Besties by Caitlin, Caitlin, on Instagram and TikTok. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am uploading videos again. I'm here. I will keep you posted, I promise, about when the lives are coming back. I do miss those lives with you besties as well. I just don't want to commit when I know I can't be consistent, at least on the timing of a live. So I just don't want to be yanking y'all around being late or moving it, things like that, because that's not fair to you. You have a life and a schedule. Who am I? Anyway, please go ahead and go check out the Pop Culture Besties Etsy merch shop, as well as my partnership with TeePublic. It will be in the show notes. And my friends, I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. I am going to the Watch What Crappens show here in Denver tomorrow night. So if you are in Denver, go see if there are tickets available. Do you know I have gone to their show by myself? It is that much fun, and it is that easy to make friends at a show like that. And it's, again, like I've said a million times, a large part of what I'm saying Besties by Bravo is because you suddenly feel like you're in a room full of your besties, because it is hard to meet Bravo besties in the wild, besties. Anyway, have a wonderful Thursday, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.